day we observe the Ramakrishna dinner once a year. All our friends, without a special worship celebration on birthdays, we observe it on this day. I am very happy that Swami Swananda ji, till recently the head of our birthday center, is present with us. Most of you know him. He had come to this country about 8 years ago as head of the center in Delhi, as head of the center of Berkeley. Before that, he was the head of the center, one of our biggest centers, education institution in Belur called Saradapi. Swami is a senior monk, a deep scholar in several subjects, and a very old friend of mine. So I'm very happy to have him here this morning. So normally the topic we choose as the Ramakrishna dinner is Ramakrishna. I have not given any specific topic to him, so he will speak on Ramakrishna and his message. Swami Swananda. I am Swami Swananda.
Good morning. Let me begin with a song which you will find in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It is somewhat like a prayer. Thou art my all in all, O Lord, the life of my life, the essence of essence. In the three worlds I have none else but Thee to call my own. Thou art my peace, my joy, my hope. Thou my support, my wealth, my glory. Thou my wisdom and my strength. Thou art my home, my place of rest, my dearest friend, my next of kin, my present and my future Thou, my heaven and my salvation. Thou art my scriptures, my commandments. Thou art my ever gracious Guru. Thou the spring of my boundless bliss. Thou art the way and Thou the goal. Thou the adorable one, O Lord. Thou art the mother, tender-hearted. Thou the chastising father. Thou the creator and protector. Thou the helpsman, who dost steer my craft across the sea of life. Om, peace, peace, peace.
Come and guide these people.
About 8 years back, I landed in Los Angeles, and that happened to be in 1977, May. And my ministry began with the celebration of Ramakrishna dinner here. And I am again here on the eve of my departure probably from this country, and ending my ministry more or less, addressing you on the Ramakrishna dinner. Seems to be a little strange. I was thinking, see, you must have known Buddha's thrice blessed day. On the Vaishakhi Purnima, he was born, he got his illumination, and he also had his what is called a Mahaparinirvana, passing away. So I began my, at least twice blessed day, I can say this, if not thrice blessed day. Well, Swami was warning me while we were having breakfast that I should not throw any bomb or some such thing, you see. Scare of bomb. Well, I don't know if I have any bomb. Probably I have been misunderstood. People think I go on throwing bombs. I have nothing of my own. If I throw any bomb, it is not manufactured by me, manufactured elsewhere. But it's a great day. The subject is the message of Sri Ramakrishna. One of our Swamis, in the course of his talk, was telling that Sri Ramakrishna taught the same age-old Vedanta, but suitable for the modern age. Let us try to explore what this age-old Vedanta is and how does it become suitable for us who live in this end of the 20th century. As you know, I am speaking of Vedanta, which is generally known as non-dual Vedanta or Dvaita Vedanta. As you know, there are many schools of Vedanta. So whenever I say Vedanta, you should remember that I am referring to the non-dual school of Vedanta. Now, what is the ancient Vedanta?
Remove that and sit. Remove that and sit.
As you know, and I'm sure all of you know because many of you are associated with the Vedanta for a very long time, Vedanta teaches the reality of Brahman. Brahman is the sole reality without a second. Ekam eva advitiyam, that is what the Sanskrit word. Ekam eva, one alone. Advitiyam means without a second. That is the reality. Upanishads give several descriptions of the nature of this reality. But at the same time warns us that no description, no definition of Brahman is possible. Because any definition, any categorizing of Brahman will make it other than Brahman. Because words cannot express, nor the mind can think of it. But still you will find in the Upanishads, they have tried to give you some idea of what Brahman is. Mostly they have used negative terms. As you will find, Brahman is indefinable, imperishable. These are some of the terms used. Nirguna, nirvishesha. It is immutable, without any, it is indivisible. This is what is the nature of the reality. And that is the sole reality. There is nothing besides. This we have been hearing ever since we have begun to study Vedanta. Now, let us set aside Brahman and see what we face ourselves in our existence, in our day-to-day life. The world in which we are is constantly changing. Brahman is said to be changeless. But the world of our experience, what we call the objective universe, is constantly changing. There is nothing in this universe which is constant, which is unchanging. It is a fact of our experience. We don't need any theoretical knowledge to understand it. We see how body changes. A tiny baby grows, becomes an adult, then becomes a middle-aged person, becomes old, decays and dies. Not only living things, so-called dead things also, non-living things also, constantly changes. There is nothing which does not undergo change. That means in our relative existence, one thing of which we are sure is change. It is this, as we say, birth, growth, decay, death. These are our experiences. These things raise question in our mind. If you are lucky enough to hear some statements from scriptures or from some realized souls or highly developed spiritual beings, that behind this change there is something which is unchanging. We are finite, but there is something which is infinite. Everything in this world is perishable, but there is something which does not perish. If you hear such things and then try to reflect and try to understand your life in relation to that changeless, infinite reality, you have to reconcile these two sides. Is change real or the changeless real? Change is what is experienced by us. Changeless, we have very little of experience. If you think you have experience, you have rather some kind of concept or imagination or idea of a changeless, which you pick up from scriptures or pick up from the words of reliable, trustworthy persons, whom we call sages and seers. Probably you may put more trust in their words than in your own experience. Then you may begin to question, is this change the ultimate thing in life? Or is there something more abiding, more real behind this change? Now this ancient Vedanta takes the way of what is called elimination. All that is presented before our senses, all that which is objective, is subject to change and cannot be the real, because they have already defined what real is. Real is unchanging, real is infinite, real is imperishable, real is immutable. So, you take the method of what is called neti, neti, not this, not this. If we, by this process, eliminate everything, what remains is the reality. You may think, well, by the process of elimination, I may eliminate even the real itself, end up in nothingness or void. That which is real cannot be eliminated. It is absolutely real. One of the aspects of Brahman spoken of in the scriptures is Brahman is called Sat. Sat means it is existent. It has an absolute existence. You see, even things changing have also existence. It has a changing existence, what we generally call a relative existence. It exists for a time and then passes away. giving rise again to something else. This is the process of change. So, but Brahman alone has the absolute existence. Nothing else has absolute existence. So you try to find out if there is a possibility in our life to connect ourselves with this absolute existence. Scriptures come and say, and that is confirmed by the lives of sages and seers in their own experience. There is within us that infinite reality, which we call by another name, call it Atman, which is, if you like the Christian language, the image of God in us. Man is made in the image of God. And we are divine. That is that divine in us. If we can somehow connect ourselves or realize that divine, then we become free. Free from this change. Free from birth, growth, decay and death. We become what is called immortal. Man is mortal. But the divine in us is immortal. Unless and until we become the divine, we cannot escape from mortality. Now, so this world with its entire creation is constantly passing away. And we are here. How do we reconcile these two sides? Infinite and finite, change and changeless. Now come to another statement made in the scriptures. Sarvam Khalviyam Brahma. This comes in one of the Upanishads. Verily all this is Brahman. Now what all this is Brahman? All that we experience, all that we see, all that we sense, everything is nothing but Brahman. Immediately the question will arise in your mind, how can this be Brahman? Because Brahman is changeless, this is changing. Brahman is immortal and this is mortal. Brahman is imperishable, this is perishable. How could Upanishads make such a daring statement that verily everything is Brahman? How change can be reconciled with the changeless? Scriptures say, true knowledge is that knowledge by which you reach the imperishable. That Brahman alone is, that is the knowledge. Now, is there a way by which we can reconcile this paradox? Infinite and finite, change and changeless. Now here, though we have it in our ancient scriptures, Sri Ramakrishna comes and makes a very unique contribution. You must have known what is called Vijnana of Sri Ramakrishna. There are two words, of course three words. One is Ajnana, another is Jnana, another is Vijnana. Ajnana is ignorance. All of us are fully under the power of Ajnana. If you think you are not, then you should not be here. By you I include myself also. Don't think I am excluding me from you.
Here we see this color.
So again, as soon as you think you are in bondage, you have to be liberated. That shows you have ignorance. And ignorance has to be removed by what is called jnana or knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge is to know that Brahman is the sole reality and the divinity in you, which is called Atman, is one with Brahman. That means the essence in you and the Brahman are one and the same. That is knowledge. And as soon as you have that knowledge, you are liberated. That means you have gone beyond change, you have gone beyond mortality, you have gone beyond perishable nature. You have become what you are in essence, in truth. Now, how we can work out these two sides? Early process is, so long you feel your body, your mind, your senses, which are our day-to-day experiences. When you see the objective world before you, you cannot just simply deny it. But scriptures come and tell you just the opposite. You are the infinite, you are the immortal, you are the changeless. So, you begin with the process of neti neti. You will find lot of writings by Shankaracharya and others. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the senses, I am the pure spirit, Shivoham, Shivoham. So by this process, you arrive at the true knowledge that you are the self. You are one with Brahman. This is what is called jnana. See, Ramakrishna comes and tells, well, there is something more. What is that you have been eliminating all this time? You have been eliminating that I am not the body, I am the mind, not the mind, I have no relations, I have no friends, I am the pure self. At no time you have been the body, you have been the mind. How can you be body, mind, senses, at the same time Brahman? So there must be somewhere something wrong in you, in your perception, in your seeing. The level of your consciousness, wherefrom you are seeing. The same Brahman must have been seen by you as body, mind, senses, cut off, disassociated from Brahman, and giving them an independent reality, as it were. They don't exist apart from Brahman. All that exists is Brahman. But when you see through your eyes of ignorance that Brahman seems to be this phenomenal universe, changing all the time, including everything within it, if you have a clear eye, if you can see better, then what will happen? You will begin to see that which you eliminated could not be eliminated because there is nothing to be eliminated. Can you eliminate Brahman and still exist? You could not do that. So what we eliminate is our false sense of distinctions and differences. There is no such thing which exists apart from Brahman. What you have been superimposing on Brahman, which is your own doing, due to your ignorance, when knowledge comes, you remove that, distinction disappears because you have superimposed on the reality. All that exists is Brahman. Sri Ramakrishna made this statement in several talks with the devotees recorded in his gospel. Subsequently, some of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna made a special point to speak on this. Not that it is not there in our ancient scriptures, but more of the negative element was stressed, not so much of the positive element. Brahman is real, world is unreal. That is the statement you will find. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. This is one of the short sayings of Shankaracharya. Brahman is real, world is unreal. Now, Sri Ramakrishna won't contradict it, but he would like to add a little more. He will say Brahman is real and world is not unreal, but world is Brahman. There cannot be any world apart from Brahman. Brahman appeared to us as world because we were reading Brahman through our eyes of ignorance. As soon as we are able to raise our consciousness, you will find that the world is nothing but Brahman. Now let me read from the Gospel the statement made by Sri Ramakrishna in this regard. He made, as you know, his statements in a very simple language, in a very clear way. He says, Jnana is the realization of the Atman by the elimination of all phenomena. Elimination is neti neti. So entire phenomenal existence will have to be eliminated in order to find Atman. By eliminating the phenomena through discriminative process. That is what they say. First, you do what is called discrimination. Nitya nitya viveka vichara. That is what they say in Sanskrit. This is real, this is unreal. Eliminate what is unreal and keep what is real. So you have something unreal apart from the real. But you begin with a statement that Brahman is all that exists. One attains samadhi and realizes the Atman. So in order to attain samadhi and realize the Atman, you have to eliminate entire phenomenal existence. Not easy to do. Don't exclude yourself from the phenomenal existence. Don't think it is outside, they are not within you, or you are not part of the phenomenal existence. And Vijnana means knowing with greater fullness. What is this greater fullness? So Jnana does not have this greater fullness. Some have only heard of milk, some have but seen it, while others have tasted it. He who has only heard of it is an ignorant man. He who has seen it is a jnani. But only he who has tasted it has attained Vijnana. That is, has known it in its entirety. To see God and have intimate relation with Him as with a near kinsman is what is called Vijnana. Now what is this intimate relation? He elaborates. First, you have to follow the process of neti, neti. Not this, not this. You cannot really begin your spiritual life when You are on the level of existence where you think this world to be really real. Your senses bring knowledge of this universe before you. You take it to be very real. At that time, you cannot just say, I don't need the process of neti neti. You need it. You cannot just say this world is Brahman. This mic is Brahman. This table is Brahman. It does not appear to your experience as Brahman. It appears as something which is subject to constant change. Brahman cannot appear in your experience as something which is changing. So, you eliminate, because they contradict what is Brahman, because they cannot be real. That is the process which is spoken of in the scriptures, which also Sri Ramakrishna is telling. So first you have to follow the process of neti neti. Not this, not this. He is not five elements of which this phenomenal existence is made. He is not the senses, not the mind, not the intelligence, not the ego. He is beyond all categories. To get up, now this is a simple example or illustration he gives. To get up to the roof, you have to leave below all the steps of the staircase, one by one. Of course, the steps are not the roof. But when you reach the roof, you find that the roof is made of the same brick, lime, mortar, and sand as the staircase. That which is the Supreme Brahman, the same has become the Jiva Jagat. Jiva means the individuals, Jagat means this universe. So Brahman has become all this. The 24 categories of the philosophers, that which is the Atman has become the five elements. You may ask, why the earth is so hard if it has come out of the Atman? The old sense of matter. Matter is something hard. But as you know, modern science no longer accepts that position. Everything is energy. Through His will, everything is possible. Are not flesh and bone made from blood and semen? How hard becomes the foam of the ocean? After attaining Vijnana, a man can live in the world as well. If the world is unreal, if everything is unreal, then why live here? Throw away the world, retire to the cave, and contemplate on Brahman. Wonderful life. Let the dead bury their dead. That's what you find in the Bible. But when you reach the roof, what you find is made of the same bricks, mortar, lime. If you have a glimpse of Brahman, then what you will find, this world is not really changing, but it is Brahman itself. There is nothing to, you cannot run away from Brahman. You cannot go to the forest and think, I have run away from the world. Can you run away from your own self? They say, you cannot run out of your own skin. So, after attaining Vijnana, man can live in the world. For then, he clearly perceives that he, that means the Lord or Brahman, himself has become the world of living and non-living substances. That he is not outside the world. When he gives an illustration from a famous book called Yoga Vasishta Ramayana, where the story goes, when Rama became young and read some of the scriptures, and found the world is constantly changing, he was possessed by the sense of what we call vairagya, dispassion, spirit of renunciation. So he wanted to renounce. So his father Dasharatha told the priest, who was a famous teacher called Vasishtha, to instruct Rama. That is what is mentioned by Sri Ramakrishna here. When Ramachandra attained jnana and refused to remain in the world, Dasharatha sent Vasishtha to instruct him. Vasishtha said to Ramachandra, Rama, if the world is outside God, you may give it up. Ramachandra remained silent, for he well knew that nothing exists without God. So what Sri Ramakrishna is trying to say in this? When we are under the influence of ignorance, this world will appear to us as world, independent by itself, constantly changing, birth, growth, decay, death will be part of our life, misery, suffering, all these will be our part of life. No one can escape from this. So we begin with the process of trying to bring in the other idea, which is supplied to us by the scriptures, by the teachers, that there is something which does not decay, which is never born, which never dies. So eliminate this where you have misery and suffering. After eliminating all this, if you can have a glimpse or vision of that, then you will have a new knowledge, new experience. Well, what did I eliminate so long? There is nothing to be eliminated. All that exists is Brahman. That means after the process of negation, you come what is called the process of affirmation. You affirm what you negated. You could not negate Brahman or part of it. Brahman has no part. There is no change in Brahman. So when that knowledge comes, then you begin to find meaning in life. Then you don't try to run away from the world because you cannot run away. Then you begin to see what Sri Ramakrishna said, that wherever there is being, there is God. And then what's the way of finding God? And that is the message which Sri Ramakrishna, as foremost disciple Vivekananda, made a special point to preach. Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. That means serve God in man. You cannot find a better place to serve. That does not mean you don't have temples where you do not worship God, or you don't have places of pilgrimage where you do not go in search of God. We surely do that. And we will surely continue to do that. But we will also add something more. To see God in every being. That is why Swamiji afterwards made the motto of the Ramakrishna mission, Atmana Mokshartham Jagadhitayata, for one's own salvation and for the good of the world. What is that good of the world? We often think Ramakrishna mission goes around in India and feeds the hungry, clothes the naked. That's good. But this is not really that what we do. We know very well if you are hungry and if we give you food, you will be hungry again. If you give you a piece of cloth, it will be torn, you will need again. Behind that is that we see the divine in every being. By serving the person, we do not really serve the person, but we serve the Lord in the person. If you can worship Him in the temple, in an image, Here is a living image. Of course, all of us know it very well. It is hard to worship a living being than an image or a portrait. Image does not speak. It does not protest. And then whatever you offer to the image, you can get back. But what you will offer to a living image does not come back. After you have served him very well, still he will be grumbling and complaining. Very hard. And the best test of how good Vedantin we are will be tested there. How much patience you have, how much you can put up with these living gods. Hungry God, the naked God, the wicked God. As Swami Vivekananda used to say, I have one or two passages from him. He who wants to serve Shiva, Shiva is the Lord, or Brahman, must serve his children. Must serve all creatures in this world first. It is said in the scriptures that those who serve the servants of God are his greatest servants. Unselfishness is the test of religion. He who has more of his unselfishness is more spiritual and nearer to Shiva. And if a man is selfish, even though he has visited all the temples, seen all the places of pilgrimage, and painted himself like a leopard, he is still farther off from Shiva. Well, it is not to say that you don't have to go to temples and pilgrimages. It is just trying to say that the Lord lives in every being, in every place. He is present in the sinner, in the saint. He is present in all places. He is all-pervading reality. That is what was that Upanishadic statement. Sarvam Khalidvam Brahman. Verily all this is Brahman. If Brahman is the sole reality, whatever is presented to our experience must be Brahman. So you can say that Brahman is this world and this world is Brahman. There is a Mahayana saying which says Nirvana is samsara and samsara is nirvana. Samsara is this phenomenal changing universe. If you really believe in the statement of oneness of all existence, how can you again at the same time think there can be things which is apart and separate from that one? If you think that way, it is only your thought which is bringing that separation, that distinction. All that exists is Brahman. One of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna made a very special point on this, which we printed in one of our bulletins. I will read out that portion to you. This is made by Swami Vijnanananda. First he begins with what can bring us knowledge of the ultimate reality. He says, if you have intense longing, yearning for God, yearning for Brahman, that alone is enough. And he does not say on his own. He says from what Sri Ramakrishna himself said. I will read that. according to Sri Ramakrishna, to those who yearn for God, comes unsought. Sincere yearning is all the sadhana that is required for a vision of God. Sadhana means spiritual disciplines and spiritual practices. Where there is intense yearning, seeking is superfluous. Where there is no intense yearning, seeking is of no avail. Sadhana is more a process of hungering for God than going in search of Him. When yearning for God becomes the all-embracing and all-absorbing objective and interest of life, nay, when yearning for God becomes the very condition of one's life and existence, when nothing is left of a man but his all-consuming hunger and thirst for God, God comes to him and fills him with all his beatitudes. There never was a godly man so mad after God, or a worldly man so mad after the world, as Ramakrishna was after God. This is the method. How to realize Brahman? Do you really want to realize Brahman? Do you feel that hunger within you, that thirst within you? Do you ever feel that without God you cannot live? Have you passed a sleepless night because you have not realized God? Look within. If you pass one night, missed 1 hour of sleep, next day you go to the shop and buy sleeping pill. That's what we do. So much conscious of our body, so much conscious of our comforts. We all want religion, but a little comfortable religion. Easy-going religion we want. How many has this hunger for God? All practices what we do really, call it bhakti yoga, call it jnana yoga, all this is just to create this hunger in us, this thirst, this yearning for God. When it is created in you, or you don't have to have any more spiritual practices, this itself will bring God realization. That is what Sri Ramakrishna says. God comes. And here is what Sri Ramakrishna says about yearning for God. See, this is put it in a little different way. Who seeks God finds Him. Verily, verily, I say unto you, that he who yearns for God finds Him. He finds God quickest, whose yearning and concentration are greatest. Like unto a miser that longeth after gold, let thy heart pant after him. Men weep rivers of tears because the sun is not born to them. Others wear away their hearts with sorrow because they cannot get riches. But how many are there who weep and sorrow because they have not seen God? He finds who seeks Him. He who with intense longing weeps for God has found Him. So each person has to find out how much we really hunger and thirst for God. Now, next paragraph in Swami Vivekanandaji's. To Sri Ramakrishna, God was the one fact of reality. Everything else was real on account of God. No other reality whatsoever. Everything else gets its reality on account of God. Everything is real because of God. That means nothing else as independent reality whatsoever. If you give any reality to anything else, that is dependent on God. They are dependent reality, a kind of relative reality. No independent reality. Only independent reality is of God. And dependent reality is only a concession so long you have not reached to the stage where you have become one with that independent reality. In his eyes, nothing was unreal, for nothing was apart from God. This is the final stage. He has spoken of neti-neti, earlier stage. Neti-neti is necessary when we take the phenomenal existence as real. So we say it cannot be real because Brahman is the sole reality. But in ultimate sense, there cannot be any elimination. So nothing was unreal, for nothing was apart from God. If anything was unreal and to be rejected as such, it was the feeling that something is apart from God. There was nothing apart from God, but you have a feeling there is something apart from God. It is that feeling which you have to reject. You cannot reject the reality, all that exists. So it is our feeling which comes out of ignorance. A sense of alienation from God is all the ignorance that exists. And that is responsible for all the misery and bondage of humanity. To Sri Ramakrishna, everything from the impersonal absolute to the material world was one mass of reality. It does not exclude the world. It includes the world. The same Brahman is given a name as if there is a different thing as world. All that exists is Brahman. The impersonal absolute, the personal God, the world. All are one order of reality, though they belong to different modes of being. The same impersonal absolute has become the personal God and the world. They are not three different realities. They are one and the same, seen on three different levels, as it were. The impersonal absolute, the personal God, and the world, all are one order of reality, though they belong to different modes of being. The same impersonal absolute has become the personal God and the world. The same reality assumes different manifestations at different levels of being. The impersonal absolute may be a higher mode of being than the personal God, but for that reason, the absolute is not more real than the latter. Be sure that you understand it. Personal God has not the less reality than the impersonal absolute. Then what is the less? You will find the Swami will explain it. The absolute is not more real than the latter. The realness of the reality is the same in both the modes of being. There is as much real in the personal God as in the impersonal absolute. There is as much of the impersonal absolute in me, in the world, as in the impersonal absolute itself. When we say there is the divine in us, it does not mean divine has been made into so many parts and bit by bit they are all in all of us. So I have an infinitesimal part of the divine in me, you have a spark in you, you have a spark in you, altogether is the divine. Each of us carry the whole of the reality in us. The tiniest ant and the largest bee carry the same divine. The sinner has so much of the divine as the saint. Don't think in the sinner divine is less and more it is in the saint. The differences come not in the existence of that in the person, but in its manifestation. The saint manifests the reality more and more. In Ramakrishna it is fully manifested, and in a sinner it is all hidden and covered up. More and more the sinner can manifest the divine. To that extent he is gradually becoming, changing, and ultimately such a person will become a saint if he can know or manifest the reality. That is why we say a sinner, a saint has a past and a sinner has a future. He who is a sinner now, sinner in the sense not we are going on committing all sins. So long you have not known the reality, you are a sinner. So more and more of the divine we manifest. To that extent we become closer to the reality. So it is that the realness is the same in both modes of being. Then Sri Ramakrishna, he is quoting from Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna says, when I think of the Supreme Being as active, neither creating, nor preserving, nor destroying, I call him Brahman or Purusha, the impersonal God. When I think of him as acting, creating, preserving and destroying, I call him Shakti or Maya or Prakriti, the personal God. But the distinction between them does not mean difference. The impersonal and the personal are the same being, like milk and its whiteness, or diamond and its luster, or the serpent and its movements. It is impossible to conceive the one without the other. The Divine Mother and Brahman are one. So you can say Brahman and Maya or Brahman and world are one and the same. So Mahayana statement Nirvana and Samsara and Nirvana become the same. Samsara does not remain anymore samsara when you have realized Nirvana. Samsara has been raised to the level of Nirvana. Distinction remains only in ignorance. In knowledge, no distinction remains. Appearance of distinction will still remain, but you are no longer deluded. You know what is the truth behind it. That is the special knowledge. You don't have to anymore run away from. You cannot run away from anything. Then Brahman will be your day-to-day experience. The transcendent and the immanent are one. To his clear vision, the difference between the personal and the impersonal was no more than that between ice and water. The formless appeared before his pure mind through divine forms. The formless absolute becomes crystallized into personal under the spell of devotion, and the personal God becomes the impersonal absolute under the blazing fire of knowledge. So Sri Ramakrishna's conception of knowledge is called Vijnana, meaning Jnana for excellence. Traditionally, Jnana is understood to be knowledge of God, either in his personal aspect or impersonal aspect. You will say either impersonal is real or you will say personal is real. That is the constant struggle between those who worship personal God and those who think the impersonal is the only reality. But for Sri Ramakrishna, both are equally real. Because both are only both in your imagination, that's one and the same reality. You are giving two different names. You are attributing names and forms and making it what is called personal or impersonal. But Vijnana is neither mere knowledge of the personal God, nor knowledge of the impersonal absolute. It includes both. and implies much more. It is to experience the impersonal absolute, to realize the personal God. It is to experience the impersonal absolute, to realize the personal God. Compared to the concept of Vijnana, traditional views of Jnana, both the idealistic and theistic, are imperfect. The world and the personal God may be felt as ways to the absolute by an idealist before the dawn of Vijnana. But with the birth of Vijnana, they will be known to be the manifestations of the absolute. To a theist, the formless absolute may appear to be a myth, but to a Vijnani, it is not only a fact equal in reality to the personal God, but also one with it. So Vijnana is beyond Jnana and Ajnana. Sri Ramakrishna is trying to say all that exists is Brahman. There is nothing which you can eliminate. You may give it the name of Ishvara, you may give it the name of personal God, you may give it Nirguna Brahman. All these different words or different words with different meanings refer to the same reality, which is the impersonal, which is the Brahman, the sole reality. So by a process of negation, you arrive to that reality. Then afterwards you find there is nothing to be negated, so you reaffirm. In one place, Sri Ramakrishna somewhere said that the world is a place of misery and suffering when you are in ignorance. When knowledge comes, then world becomes a place of mirth and joy. World remains the world, it does not change. But your perception of the world has changed when you have realized the truth. Then you find world is a place of real joy. Why? Because everyone in this universe is none but different forms of the same reality. And then what you can see is, see Brahman everywhere. Feel Brahman everywhere. I was just seeing in a magazine here, and I found this in that magazine. So I thought it is not bad to read out this to you. Brahman, oh, how can I lose you? When everything I look at is nothing but Brahman. Brahman, what should I desire or talk about? Whom should I hate? And whom should I love? When all this is nothing but Brahman. Brahman, who came to you and who went away? Who left you behind and who came to stay? When there was nothing, and nothing will be but Brahman. Brahman, eternally free I am, yet I searched for a way to the liberation I desired. I am eternally free, but still I am seeking liberation from bondage. Then realize all this is Brahman. Brahman, illusions are over and have disappeared like haze. Everywhere is Brahman, nothing but one. I am Brahman. This is what Sri Ramakrishna's Vijnana means. If we have even a glimpse of this Vijnana of Sri Ramakrishna, not only we individually will be free, we will be a source of joy and happiness, and we will ourselves become a kind of beacon light which will show light to others. Thank you very much.